Hopefully we can see it today. There's no Canadian wildfire smoke today. Mackinac Island over there. And then here's the lighthouse. And here's all the information if you want to pause it and read it.
You're going to see yellow painted step up there. When you see that yellow painted step, you're going to want to duck.
Okay.
And I mean duck very hard. We don't want you to hit your head, so just be careful. Whoever's the last person through it, they could do me a huge favor and put this rope back across like this. I appreciate it. Alright folks, let's head on up. We're going to have a great tour today. Alright, so the room we're in right now is the watch room. This is where the lighthouse keeper and assistant keeper would have conducted their watch. So they were up here from sunset to sunrise, watching over the light and making sure the light remained visible for all ships to see.
That's very far. This we have to go.
Yeah, we'll be going up this ladder next, yes.
Okay, I don't know if I know that.
But you don't have to go up the ladder if you don't want to. It's alright. So we had 3 different types of lights here throughout the lighthouse's service. We had an oil lamp from 1892 until 1913, and a kerosene lamp from 1913 until 1929. In 1929, the kerosene lamp was replaced by a light bulb, and they had electricity up here in the tower. Now, it would have been the responsibility of the lighthouse keeper and assistant keeper to keep that light going. They would have worked up here in shifts. So while one is up here, the other one is downstairs getting some sleep. And they would rotate throughout the night. The watch was from sunset to sunrise. And so they would have to make sure that the light was working correctly and do any maintenance that needed to be done. Now all 3 of these lights would have been inside what they call a Fresnel lens. And basically what a Fresnel lens does is it acts like a magnifying glass. It magnifies the light so it can be seen from a greater distance. Our light could be seen 16 miles away. That's enough to cover the entire Straits of Mackinac. And that Fresnel lens, the light would flash every 10 seconds. That way the ship captains knew which lighthouse it was. Every lighthouse had a different pattern for its light. Now, in order to get that light to flash, the lens would rotate 360 degrees. In order to get the lens to rotate, they had to use a system very similar to a grandfather clock or a cuckoo clock. They had a large metal weight that went down that shaft right there. And as that weight made its way down, it's connected to a metal chain, which went through there, led through the T-shaped hole there, connecting to a gear up in the lantern room. So as that weight is slowly making its way down, that's slowly rotating the lens 360 degrees. Every 5 hours, the weight would reach the bottom, and once it did, the lighthouse keeper and assistant keeper would have to hand crank the weight back up. It's quite a lot of work. Eventually in 1940, the weight system was replaced by a motor, and they had a motor rotating the lens. Now in 1957, the lighthouse was taken out of service when the Mackinac Bridge was completed. This is because both towers on the Mackinac Bridge are 552 feet tall. The bridge is 5 miles long, is covered in lights across its entire length, and they dug a shipping channel in between the 2 towers for ships to safely pass through. As a result, they no longer needed the lighthouse, and so in 1957, the lighthouse was decommissioned and was taken out of service. Any questions about any of that? Alrighty, well, without further ado, we'll head up into the lantern room now. So, what I'm going to have you folks do is you're going to hold on to both sides of the ladder, take it 1 step at a time. Make sure you don't skip that final step. It's very easy to skip that last step. Now, once again, you don't have to climb the ladder if you don't want to. If you want to just wait down here, we're all going to head down the stairs together as a group. So when you folks are done up there, you're going to wait here. So don't go all the way down. The reason I say that is I've had that happen with groups before, right? Come down and the entire group's gone because they went downstairs. So I always tell people that. Alright, so just remember, 1 person on the ladder at a time. Take it 1 step at a time. Make sure you don't skip this final step. Have your cameras and phones ready. You're going to get some nice pictures.
The rides Well, the fair is different.
Now, if anyone would like their picture taken up here, I'm more than happy to take their picture. Alrighty, so the room we're in right now is the lantern room. This is where the light itself actually was. Would have been mounted on a pedestal, and the lens was about the height of the windows. On each corner of the room, you'll notice these brass fittings with 4 triangles cut into them. These allowed oxygen to come in the days before electricity, when they were still using the oil and kerosene lamp, because flames need oxygen to stay lit. When they were ready to snuff out the light in the morning, they'd have a little knob on them, like those ones do. You would turn that would cover up the holes, and that would snuff out the flame on its own. Pretty simple. This door would lead out onto the balcony outside. You could put this trap door down, that way they could safely walk across. And the balcony was used to clean the windows in the daytime.
How often do they have to do that? Depending on the weather, or?
Depending on the weather, and if I were to guess, it was probably a daily thing. The lighthouse keeper and assistant keeper, the best way I can describe what they did to folks is they're basically glorified janitors or groundskeepers. So they had quite a lot of work to do. These canvas sheets would actually go over all the windows in the daytime, and this was to protect the Fresnel lens from sunlight. The sunlight could actually damage the Fresnel lens over time. There was a special glue or caulking they used to keep the glass pieces together. And if it was exposed to sunlight, it would actually begin to crack, which could destroy the lens. So they would have these over the windows in the daytime. One final thing I'll mention is the hole up in the roof. That is where the oil and kerosene fumes would have been vented out. That way they didn't accumulate in here. Any questions about any of that?
No.
Well, if anyone would like to get
So
some
what's your picture?
pictures, yep, and I can take your picture if anyone wants their picture taken up here. I am more than happy to do that.
Okay, now that that's over, we can go through the rest of it. Here's the light. So then here's more information if you want to pause and read it. And a photo of it from a very long time ago. Here's the view out this window. It's pretty nice. And this is the info on the lens here. Okay, this is the keeper's quarters. It's pretty in here. This is a really nice organ. And then this is the dining room. Okay, this is the keeper's kitchen. Always really nice wood stoves in the closet. And then we can go up these stairs, normal stairs. So here's Chet's room. And Mary's room. It says this modern bathroom was added in 1928. That doesn't open though. And then in this room is just some photos. Here's another light and some more info.
Now, when the lighthouse was first built in 1892, the fog whistle had already been here. The fog whistle was actually the first thing they built here at the site. It was located right where you folks are sitting. It would have been inside a building that looked just like our Shipwreck Museum. In fact, our Shipwreck Museum is actually a replica of the original fog whistle building, at least on the outside. Now inside, they would have had 2 steam boilers. So picture a steam locomotive without the wheels, or picture the boiler room from Titanic, a bit smaller, and without Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet. These would generate steam, which would lead to 2 10-inch steam whistles mounted on the roof. Now the reason they had 2 of everything was if one broke down, they had another one available as a backup. Now, the original fog whistle building wasn't very good at its job. The job of the fog whistle building was the exact same job as the lighthouse. And that was to warn ships to stay away from the shallow waters off of Old Mackinac. And the idea is when there was low visibility, they would not be using the light up in the lighthouse. They'd only be using the fog whistle. So if you ever see a movie or a cartoon where they show a lighthouse and the fog whistle being used at the same time, that's not accurate. If they're using the foghorn, that means they can't see the light. So they would have the light shut off. Because that's wasting fuel and electricity. And so they wanted to conserve that as much as they could. So the original fog whistle, as I kind of said earlier, wasn't good at its job here. For one, the sound from the whistle went in all directions, which isn't good because they're trying to warn the ships out here. And so they want all the sound to go this way. But if it's going in 4 different directions, that's going to divide the sound into those 4 directions, and it's not going to make it as easy to hear for the ships out there. So that was one problem. The other problem was when they did build the lighthouse in 1892, it was located right next to the fog whistle building, which meant that the lighthouse actually blocked some of the sound waves from the fog whistle, which is good because that means it's not going to be able to be heard as well. So the U.S. government quickly realized this wasn't going to work, and we were going to need a new fog whistle building. So they looked at this plot of land right over here, and they thought, well, this would be perfect. It's nice and close to the shoreline, but it's far enough away from the lighthouse. They also decided when they would build this building, they would put the whistle on the side of the building, against the wall. That way all the sound had to go out this way. It seems like they thought everything out, except there's one big problem. See that bend in the fence right there? Well, there's another bend in the fence right behind you over there. If you draw a straight line between those 2 bends in the fence, you have the property line. If you look at where this building is, you'll see why that's a problem, because that's beyond that property line. The problem is that isn't U.S. government land. That's city land owned by Mackinaw City. So that led to a 13-year-long court debate between Mackinaw City and the U.S. government. And basically what they were debating about was eminent domain. Basically what they were looking at was what was more important. Having a fog whistle here or having a campground here. So that was what they were looking at, was what was more important. Well, the U.S. government decided, you know what, we're just going to buy the land. So they purchased this bit of land from Mackinaw City for about $400, which is about $13,000 in today's money, so quite the steal. Which makes me wonder why Mackinaw City put up such a fight if they were going to give up the land for that little bit of money. But I don't know. So in 1906, they built this building here. This is the original building from 1906. This was not a building. Now they recycled a lot of equipment from the original fog whistle building, including the 2 steam boilers as well as one of the 10-inch steam whistles. The original fog whistle building itself was recycled. It was moved over to where our Shipwreck Museum is today, and it was used as a storage building up until about the 1920s or 30s when it was torn down. Now in 1933, the steam whistle and steam boilers in this building were replaced by an air compressor and a diaphragm. It was basically a big air horn. The air compressor would generate air. Pretty simple. It would have looked just like a tornado siren or an air raid siren. It would have been mounted on the triangle-shaped part of the building on a little platform. And this is the foghorn you folks might be more familiar with. The one that makes that honk noise. That's a diaphragm. That was in use here from 1933 until our station closed in 1957. So the fog whistle was removed at the same time the lighthouse was. The foghorn. Now even today with our modern technology, fog is still a huge hazard for demonstrate the pattern that we're going to blow the whistle in. And this is actually the pattern that they used here. You see, each lighthouse has a different pattern for its fog whistle. That way the ship captains were able to tell them apart. So first we're going to blow the whistle for 5 seconds. Then we'll follow that with 17 seconds of silence. Then we'll follow that with another 5-second blast. Then we'll follow that with 33 seconds of silence. And then we'll blow the whistle for 5 more seconds to show the transition over to the next land. And keep in mind, this pattern was done constantly, 24 hours a day, around the clock, until visibility improved. The record they had this going for was a week. Yeah, it would not have been fun being here that week, that's for sure. Most of the time it was only a few hours or maybe a day or two. It just depended on the circumstances. Now every time I blow the whistle, I'm going to count down. I'm going to go 3, 2, 1, and then I'll blow the whistle. So when you see me hold up to 3, that's your signal to cover your ears. Or if any of you have a hearing aid or hearing assistance, you're going to want to turn it down at that point. Now you're more than welcome to film or take pictures of the demonstration. Keep in mind you might not be able to cover your ears. So do so at your own term.
That's okay.
Yeah, so I just always like to tell people that. One final thing I'll mention is when I get ready to sound the fog whistle the first time, I'm going to yell out twice, sounding the foghorn, sounding the foghorn. Obviously a little bit louder than that. That way the people out here know we're about to sound that off. Now my voice can get pretty loud, but I think I'm gonna need your folks' help, especially with all the surf coming in today. So when I yell sounding the foghorn, you're all gonna yell it together. We're all gonna yell it out here so these people can hear us. You folks think you can do that for me? All right. Well, without further ado, we'll get started. So we're gonna wait 1 minute before we sound it off. That way we get the timing correct. Now, while we're waiting, one thing I'll mention is that we're not using steam to blow the whistle. Instead, we're using compressed air. It's better for the long-term preservation of the whistle. Plus, we don't have to have 2 big steam boilers in the middle of our gift shop. So instead, we're using an air compressor, basically what you might have in your own home. It takes about 20 minutes to build up air for each demonstration. Overall, the sound from the whistle will be pretty much the exact same as it would be if it was steam. The only difference is it would have had a slightly deeper pitch and it would have been a bit louder if it was steam. So just keep that in mind. But overall, the sound is pretty much the same. Let me put in my earplugs and then we'll get the show on the road. Alright, we're going to yell sounding the foghorn. 3, 2, 1. Sounding the foghorn! Sounding the foghorn! Excellent, folks. 3, 2, 1. Looks like we're going to have a loud one this morning. Depends on how much air it comes out. Alrighty, blowing it again. 3, 2, and 1. Yeah, this one must have a lot of air built up today. I've never heard it this loud. So you guys get the special one today. Now, on a clear day, you can hear this from Mackinac Island, which is about 7 miles away. So it gives you an idea of the range that you can hear this from. So they can hear this at the Grand Hotel. Alright, blowing the fog whistle one final time in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Alrighty, and that concludes our demonstration. I hope you folks enjoyed it. If you have any questions, I'll be available for a few minutes to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you for coming. Thank you for your help. Give yourselves a round of applause. Excellent job, folks. Have a great day. Enjoy your time here in Mackinaw City.
Okay, so this is the Shipwreck Museum, and this was made by Moran Iron Works, which is 3 miles from our house, just like this spring. and it's the boiler house or something like that. But we saw this sitting on the side of the road every time we went to town. Didn't know what it was or where it went, but this is where it went. So that's pretty cool. You hear me talk about Tom Moran and Moran Ironworks a lot. Well, that's because he makes a lot of things, including 2 of the Mackinac Island ferries, Miss Margie and William Richard. He makes a lot of things. Time to head in here now. Here's some information on the fog signals, basically everything he just said. And that's the gift shop building. And there's the lighthouse itself. And then we'll be going into that next, after we go in here. Here are acknowledgements. So this is Shipwreck Artifacts. And a diver. A lot of information to read. This is a video. I'm not sure if that does anything. Divers occasionally transform their wrecked souvenirs into everyday objects, such as this clock made from a pulley and hull fragment recovered from the brig Henry Clay. That's cool. Make a clock out of it. This is a triple wood block. And up here is an engine plate. And then some more information. And this is the crew of the steamer Cedarville, May 7th, 1965. A.F. Harvey Bell, 3 ships, 1 bell. Object removed temporarily. This is stuff about collision. Disaster in the Fog, the Cedarville, 1965. Single ball and flag above. Okay, that's that up there. And this looks like a rudder. Here's the radio. Preventing shipwrecks. And as you can hear, they have wind playing over the speakers. Here's another foghorn. No, that's a steam whistle that was mounted high on Eberward's smokestack. Navigation. Porthole. That's pretty. Some of their dishes. Says that it sank quickly, leaving a huge selection of china in the galley and crew's mess. So this is original stuff that they found. So here is a model of it up on the, like it should be, but it was icy. And now here's a replica of where it is now, under the water. And then here's a very large model. There are a lot of these out in the lake still. There's a video showing the shipwreck.
Anybody else? Oops. You said that door, right? What's on that?
Some more of the stuff. Sandusky Brig, 110 feet. And there it is now. This looks like a skull. Oh, a scrolled figurehead. A little gun. Some more of the stuff. William H. Burnham. Another one that sank. Yeah, lots Lots of artifacts that they have found in the sunken ships. This is a valve. And a wheel. Pretty interesting. And then here, the Straits of Mackinac. It shows you where they are, I guess. Here, Chuck's barge. Okay. And then it shows you up here where it is. And you can switch to different ships. But look here how many there are. Just keep switching. There's so many. Wow, that's a lot. But yeah, that's sad. A whole lot of sunken ships around here. So I didn't know what this was from the other side. It looked like a piece of wood. It's the Cedarville, a replica of it. So it is tipped over down on the bottom of the lake right now as we speak. Cedarville. Yeah, pretty sad. And then here's Don listening to the video about the Sandusky.
This lake, Sandusky's crew frantically working to build a fountain in front of the broken lake. Trying to
Yep. All right, time to head into this building. This is the audio-visual program. So we're not going to watch the movie or anything, but they're in here. And some more information. This is, oh, the Carl D. Bradley. I was looking for that. Because that's a very famous shipwreck, 1958. It's not on that map in there, in the other building, but here's a model. Barn. Oh good, we don't have to go up there. So now it's time to exit through the gift shop. What's that?
It's a pencil.
Oh.
$2.50.
But yeah, lots of nice gifts in here. Water. Some magnets. That's pretty.
So go to the movie and then straight on.
Okay.
Depends how long you want to take. If you want to climb the tower, that tower tour is at 11 o'clock. And however long you want to take, there's a movie theater and watch movies.
So there you have it, Old Mackinac Point Lighthouse in Mackinaw City, Michigan. It's really fun and interesting. And you can go to the top of the tower, they blow the foghorn off. It's definitely worth coming. So we're gonna go ahead and say goodnight, and we hope you enjoyed the video, and thank you so much for subscribing because we couldn't do any of this without you. Say goodnight.
Good afternoon.
And we'll see you next time.